Hello and welcome to The Conversation. My name is Josh, and in this episode we sat down with Matt Field from City TM to talk about their beginnings, the challenges that their level of growth has brought, and what it was like working for Batman. To catch up on the rest of the conversation, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to us on YouTube.
The week that the world closed down, at the beginning of that week, we had about 300 jobs booked in for training. By the end of that week, we had none. When you're working for someone like Warner Brothers, all of the smaller production houses are quite happy to use you because they know they can trust your services. If Warner Brothers can, most people can. My name's Matt Field and I'm the Managing Director of City Traffic Management Services.
Tell us a little bit about City Traffic Management's operations and what kind of works that you undertake.
So we operate from two delivery hubs, one in Hertfordshire, one in Kent, and we undertake a majority of works for surfacing companies, term maintenance companies, fibre rollout businesses, and we undertake some civils works as well.
How do you feel going from a small company to well over 100 employees? Did you ever see City TM as an organisation with a wide range of hubs?
Yes and no. In my wildest dreams, we would potentially get to the size we are today. Realistically, when we started, I think I'd have probably been happy running a small company with perhaps 10 vans and a few trainers and assessors working for the business, and sort of a small self-sufficient company. To get to the size we are now is, I would say, beyond my wildest dreams, but luckily I'm backed up by a fantastic team that undertake all the day-to-day stuff and make it possible. So we're very lucky, the team we have.
So let's go right back to the start of City TM. How did it start and what was the motivation for getting it all going?
So we can probably trace the roots of City Traffic Management way back to 2003, 20 years ago. We started off a small company called MCC, wasn't even limited, wasn't even registered for VAT. It was just registered as a business, and I was doing a little bit of training just on the side with permission of my current employer at the time, and we were just doing a little bit of training here and there, and that was kind of building up in the background, becoming a little bit more and a little bit more. Then in 2009 I had two small children, and I was spending more and more time away from home. I was working for a national traffic management company at the time with multiple depots around the UK, so I was visiting those depots, so leaving home early, arriving home once or twice a week, and my kids were growing up and I was missing it. So I wanted to try and do something that kept me in and around London, got me home at a decent time, gave me time at home, weekends, stuff like that. In 2009 I decided to take a jump into the unknown. I handed in my resignation from the company I was working for. We had a couple of weeks work booked in from my own business, and I just took a gamble that I would be able to find more work and build up. I started City at that point, just me on my own, working out of my bedroom, trying to gamble that I would get work for the next week and the next week and the next week, and slowly we did get the work. We managed to build the work up through repetition of business, through sticking with a mantra of quality at all times, really, and we still work to that mantra now. That was the decision back in 2009, and I stayed like that for about 3.5 years, just working for myself, to the point where we had too much work and I was getting back to the point of why I'd left. So we took on another employee, and from there the journey began, really.
How did that work? That must have been really stressful and quite daunting. So like, how did that work, and what kinds of jobs were you able to do as just one person?
So as one person, we could only take one job a day. Clients were asking us to do 2-3 jobs a day, but we kind of backed off from it, because when you work for yourself, you have to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's very difficult. You have to be the accountant, you have to be the HR, you have to be bookings, you have to deliver the courses, and you're trying to do all of that as one person, and it's very difficult to undertake that and try and have some kind of life. You kind of have to make that decision where you're going to grow the business or you're going to scale back, because you've got work coming in. I was supposed to have an easy life, and it really wasn't easy. So that's the decision we took, to take on another person so that I would have time to do certain elements of the business side of stuff. We was very lucky to employ good people at the right time, which gave me the confidence to go and find additional work and push the business and do what every business owner does, find more work without overstretching. I think that's the hardest part. It's very difficult to have that happy medium.
With City TM getting more staff, taking on more work, that kind of led a little bit into the contracting kind of work that you touched on earlier.
Yeah.
What kind of a role has that played? And like, what was the key decisions to sort of branch into that world as well as keeping what you guys started with?
So I guess the key decision was, ultimately it's a world where I came from, contracting. It's what I knew, it's what I was specialist at. But the training was a way for me to start a business, and the business became quite good at it. We were probably still are one of the largest in the south, which is our operating area. And so a lot of clients had the confidence in us as a business to deliver the quality that they expected. So we went back to contracting more as a favour to one of our existing clients. But as that business organically grew without even trying that hard to grow it, it wasn't a position that we had gone at. That side of the business was growing. And as long as we were keeping the quality, we were getting further works. And luckily for us, we did make that decision. Because when COVID struck in March 2020, the week that the world closed down, at the beginning of that week, we had about 300 jobs booked in for training. By the end of that week, we had none.
Wow.
So had we just been a training company at that time, that would have been us finished. City Traffic Management would have ceased trading at that point because we had no work and we had no forward vision on any work. Yes, we could have furloughed and X, Y, and Z, but nobody knew what was happening. Thankfully for us, we had the contracting side, and at that point we'd grown to we had about 10 vans on the road. What happened for us is a lot of our competitors in our region did decide to go down the furlough route, closed their doors, furloughed all their staff to try and retract and hold back what they had. But for us, it was a perfect opportunity to expand the business. So we seized the opportunity, and during COVID and then out of the back of COVID into sort of 2021 was probably our largest growth period. And I think going into COVID, we had about 10 vans, perhaps 15 members of staff. Coming out of COVID, I think we had about 50 vans and about sort of 60 staff. So it was a huge growth period for us. During that period, a lot of the contracts that we picked up stayed with us. And we've grown on that now to kind of where we are today. And moving forward, there's still lots more to come.
Speaking of contracting, did you ever see City TM working for Batman?
No.
What was it like when the phone call came in from Warner Brothers asking them for your help?
Oh, well, funnily enough, it was kind of we had done some stuff with Warner Brothers before, consultancy work for them to help them, and it was originally they came back to us for the consultancy, and we said, well, actually, we've now got a contract inside, so we can consult, we can design, we can apply for your permits, we can do everything you need to do, but we can actually also now deliver as well. So we delivered. We've continued working with Warner Brothers, and we're doing some stuff with them now, from simple stuff like road closures to allow staff and access to and from sites across the road, to one that we're designing now where we're going to be closing down Parliament Square, the whole of Parliament Square, for 24 hours.
Wow.
So yeah, for us that's going to be a huge one. That's quite a major film that they're going to be bringing to London. We're still working with them, and the relationship's expanded quite a lot for us. We do event traffic management. We're not really known for it, but with regards to the filming industry, we do a lot for them. And obviously when you're working for someone like Warner Brothers, all of the smaller production houses are quite happy to use you because they know they can trust your services. If Warner Brothers can, most people can. We get quite a lot of work, and it's an avenue of everything that we do. So we'll do film work, we do TV series, we do adverts, and it's quite a good revenue stream for us as a business. And obviously working with Warner Brothers is fantastic for us as a business. We get to meet some quite famous people, and our guys, we've even had, there was one episode, and I can't remember which one it is, where they actually wanted to use the van in the scene. So we've gone live, as it were. So yeah, it's been a good avenue for us.
Technology plays a massive part.
Huge.
In what you guys do. So what's the latest technology that the highways industry has been adopting?
I guess the latest technology that's been adopted is incursions. Probably the worst part of what we do on a day-to-day basis: incursions, abuse, road worker abuse, stuff like that. So we're always looking around, what's available, what other people are doing, what other people are trialing, what we can trial, what we can bring to the industry. There's some really great stuff out there from businesses like Roadside, SRL, HRS. There's some really great stuff coming through the system. One of the latest ones that we're trialing and is working really well for us is ANPR cameras. So we place an ANPR on the gate. We put a small VMS board behind the gate, and as the general public approach it, they may have come through 3 or 4 soft road closures. When they get to the actual road closure point, by that point they're normally aggravated because they've come through the soft closures telling them it's closed. When they get to the closure, they're angry at that point because they have actually now got to turn around. But with the ANPR cameras and the VMS, it flashes up their number plate. They can see their number plate flash up in front of them, and they know at that point they're on camera. So we're finding so much more that they're just turning around and driving off now.
Yeah.
So it's stopping the abuse, it's stopping the confrontation. As the world turns more technological, we're going to have to embrace that and bring it into our systems. And if it helps our road workers be safer, then why would you not?
So another hot topic at the moment is environmental impact and sustainability.
Yes.
So can you share any insights in the sort of sustainability initiatives?
We work with Greener Highways, who obviously have a huge impact in sustainability and what they do. But there's going beyond that. There's so much more we can do as a business. So we're currently looking at alternative fuels, and that can include some of the new stuff that's coming through as well. So synthetic fuel is a big one that we're looking at. Obviously, we've got electric vehicles, but are they as green as everybody says? It's debatable, but it's an option that we're using. There's also the batteries that we use in our sequential lights, our road danger lamps. We recycle them, and how we can recycle them and where they're going, making sure that they're going to the right place to be recycled. Even down to simple things like our cone tops are plastic. So when a cone is damaged, it's a 2-part cone. So when they're damaged, sometimes they won't fit back together. So it's, what do we do with the plastic cone tops? Where do they go? So there's every angle that you can look at. There's big numbers that you can get: CO2 reductions, synthetic fuels, stuff like that, electric vehicles, right down to the batteries we use, the plastics we use. There's a whole range of initiatives that we can look at, and we do look at. We've also got an idling vehicle policy. So a lot of our guys, when they pull up on site, so that van will sit there potentially idling for a number of hours so that they stay warm. So we're looking at in-cab heaters so that they turn their engine off, so there's no idling. There's lots of things that can be done. It's just how you approach them, and it's kind of trying to dip into every one a little bit to see what is the saving. Is it a big saving? Is it a small saving? It's looking at all the different options. So there is lots of options, and the industry is doing a lot around sustainability as well. You see some people doing beach cleans and stuff like that. All fantastic. It's all wins for the environment. And if we all do a little bit, then we all do something, rather than we all just sit back going, oh, they're doing X, they're doing X. Get out there and help. It's really not that difficult. We also allocate an additional day's holiday to all of our staff, and that's based around anything that they can do for charity, anything that they do for beach cleans, stuff like that. They will all, every single one of them gets awarded an additional day's holiday if they are undertaking a charity function, a clean, an environmental, something like that, something that's sustainable and helps the environment. We'll allocate days holiday for that person to go and do that, and so they don't lose out. And we feel that we're helping just that little bit. Over 100 staff, so that's 100 days, over 100 days being allocated to charities, sustainability schemes, anything like that that we can help with. It all helps the environment.
One of the things that we've spoken about quite a lot in this episode is City TM's incredible growth. What's been the biggest challenge that growth has brought the company?
Keeping up with it. To be honest, It's you can grow a business, but it's growing it sustainably is the difficult part. If you just throw people at things and just buy more vans, buy more equipment, it doesn't work. It will fail at some point because you're just churning over. It's the team around us, it's the staff we've got, it's the supervisors we've got, the managers we've got, the guys and girls on the road. We look after our staff and they look after us. So it's having that team around us, and it's seeing what part of the business is going to grow and where, and trying to forward plan it. So I guess a lot of people will wait for the business to grow and then act on it. What we try and do is act on it and then grow into that business. So rather than someone getting to the point where they're absolutely stretched and they need desperately help, we will kind of see that come in and act on that and pull a person into that role to assist. I guess a lot of business owners will look at that as expense. I don't need to do that yet. I can get away with that for another 2 months. But actually, if we pull that person in 2-3 months before they're needed and absorb that cost into the business, then when they are needed, they're in, they're ready, they're trained, and we can expand again. You bring in one new supervisor, you can probably bring in 15, 20 new operatives under that supervisor. But if you bring in 15 or 20 new operatives without that supervisor, it's going to fail the business. Profit-wise, we've made very little for probably 3 years, maybe even 4 years, because everything we got is ploughed back into the business to finance the growth. That's where we won't sit back and go, well, look how much money we got in the bank. We've got nothing. But we've got a workforce that does what they're meant to do, and the basis is there for even further growth into the coming months and years. We're opening up new regional delivery centres. We're looking at a hub centre to deliver. And I think it's concentrating in our area as well. So whereas we will only concentrate in London and the South East, and other traffic management companies may look to expand anywhere, we're concentrating in a small area. Luckily for us, it's London, so there's a lot of work to concentrate on. So yeah, I think that's the main part for us. It's just keeping everything on track, keeping everything where it's meant to be, keeping the works in the demographic area that we want to deliver in, and not just accepting anything miles and miles away, because all that's going to happen is our operatives are going to take 2-3 hours to get there, 2-3 hours to get back. They're supposed to be doing a maximum of a 12-hour shift, but they need to be 10 hours on site. It just doesn't work for us. So yeah, just trying to keep everyone happy, clients, workforce, keep it all going.
You kind of touched a little bit on this earlier on when you were talking about COVID, but is it really important for companies to branch out in the way that City has to just ensure that they stay afloat?
Yes, very much so. If we had just remained in the one track pony that we was in at the time, we wouldn't be here now. It's only because we diversified. It's not that we saw COVID coming, because no one did. We just got lucky, I'll be honest. But the fact that we had diversified and we had two completely separate divisions, because one division was utterly shut off in the space of a week, the other division had the ability to keep going. So nobody stopped working because of that diversification. We still have that diversification in the business. We have two main revenue streams. One is training, where we will work for other companies training their staff, and one is contracting, where we will carry out traffic management. So because we have those two separated divisions, we also, in the contracting, we have numerous revenue streams. So we have high speed works, we have low speed works, we have event traffic management, we have filming traffic management, we have sign making, we have all sorts of different avenues within that. Sometimes one will be very busy and the others will be low, one of the others will be high. It very much moves around. So by having that diversified workforce that can undertake different units, different types of traffic management, it enables us to stay strong. Even if one element of the business drops off because of timings, then one of the other elements will undoubtedly still be busy. So by diversifying across a broad range of the whole of traffic management, I think it keeps us safe. It keeps us, that's our ability to keep going and keep diversifying. So yeah, the answer is 100% yes. If you don't diversify, you die with the dinosaurs.
What does the future bring for City TM?
Lots. So by the end of this year, we will have another regional delivery hub based in Slough. We're just working on that at the moment. So that's due to release anytime within the next month or two. And then the plans for next year are a new super hub down to on the south side of like around Gatwick area, so that we can service our works round and down there. So currently we've got a hub based in Kent which services round there, which we stretch out into sort of Sussex and Surrey. But we've got some contracts coming up and around that area. So we plan to place a new super hub down there. And then we will be kind of attacking London from all four corners. So that's the growth avenue. There's absolutely no plans to come out of London and the southeast. That's our operating area. That's where we specialise. So that's our plan. But within that area, we plan to double the size of the business within the next 3 years. So yeah, there's lots of plans going forward.
Matt, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for freeing up some time to come and talk to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
This has been The Conversation with Reflow Field Management. To find out more about field management, head to re-flow.co.uk, book a demo and qualify for a free trial. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media channels and subscribe to us on YouTube.